guys, if you've been following along, it has been quite a dilemma. We have been weighing the pros and cons of homeschooling versus doing our district's hybrid program, which would have been 2 days in school, 3 days at home. And it's just been so tough deciding what to do. I know everybody across the country and across the world probably is going through a similar dilemma here. Last video I did on the subject, we were leaning toward going ahead and doing the hybrid program. But seeing everybody posting their back to school photos with the kids going through the remote learning and all this, it just brought back all these horrible memories of how awful last year was with the remote learning. And I know that was crisis schooling and it wasn't, you know, planned and everything was just a mess though, and we hated it. My son hated it. It was a lot of fighting and crying, and traditionally that's how schooling was for him in general. He always was just like not wanting to do the homework, and it was always just a big fight for us. So I kind of just jumped and made the decision to go ahead and do homeschool. So you are looking at a very brand new homeschooling mom here, and it is a lot to learn. It's a little bit terrifying and also a little bit exciting, because as far as I've heard, it's just so flexible, because you can learn when you want, you can learn what you want, you can go on field trips and vacations and study at the beach or whatever, like so flexible. But there is a lot of paperwork to do and it can be overwhelming. So I'm kind of gonna walk you through it in case you are also new to homeschooling and going through all this at the same time as I am, or if you're just curious because you have no idea what homeschooling is and how they can regulate this stuff, or if you are trying the remote learning or trying the hybrid system and it might not work out. So in a couple of months you might be kind of panicking like, oh, maybe I need to switch to homeschooling, and you have that right. You can go into or out of homeschooling and your district at any time of the year. So you can start at the district public school and then you can pull out and tell them you're gonna homeschool at any point, but you have to go through the right process. The first process is sending in your letter of intent to homeschool, the LOI. And it's very basic. You just have to send it in to the superintendent and tell them, hey, I intend to homeschool. And if you're already enrolled in the district, it might be a different process to unenroll and all this stuff. But we had already unenrolled in Brooklyn and we hadn't enrolled here yet. So you just talk to the district and they'll tell you exactly what you need to do. Plus there are a million Facebook groups out there that are like focused on your state or your district or your homeschooling plan, like so many ways to get information and help. So you don't need to be lost or confused. You can just, there are so many ways. Anyway, so you send in your letter of intent and they will reply with your IHIP that you need to fill out. And this IHIP is your Individualized Home Instruction Plan. And this is where they need to see what your plan is to make sure that you are not neglecting your child, that you actually plan to give them an education, and that you're not just gonna be letting them just watch TV all day. They tell you what subjects are required for whatever grades. Mandatory schooling age is from 6 years old here. So my 4-year-old twins who should have gone into kindergarten this year, I'm holding them back and I don't have to report anything. I'm gonna be teaching them at home basic stuff, but I don't have to report anything because they don't technically have to be in school yet, not until they're 6. So that is like a big relief for me. But my 7-year-old, he is a rising 3rd grader. I could hold him back and do 2nd grade, but I think I'm gonna do 3rd grade curriculum at home, and then when he goes back to school is where I will try to hold him back so he's the same age as his peers, because in New York they have a December 31st cutoff and he's like a week before that. So he's like the baby of the class. But you go up here, upstate New York, he should be going into 2nd grade, not 3rd grade, because they have a December 1st cutoff. And if you go to New Jersey and most places in the country, it's October 1st cutoff. So he should be actually going into 2nd grade, not 3rd grade. So anyway, whatever, not a big deal at this point. We're just gonna go for a 3rd grade curriculum. And then when he goes back to public school, that's where we'll try to figure out his placement. But so for the IHIP, here is what New York State dictates a 1st through 6th grader has to be doing. They have to have a cumulative hours of instruction for grades 1 to 6 must be 900 hours per year. And so they have set quarterly reports. So you have to send your reports in that say that they've had X amount of hours or studied what they've studied. And that's, again, is very basic what you have to send in. They're just kind of making sure you're still sticking to your plan. They set the dates, or you can set your own dates. Then here's what they have to study. In K to 12, they have to be provided instruction in patriotism and citizenship, health education regarding alcohol, drug, and tobacco misuse, highway safety and traffic regulations, including bicycle safety, fire and arson prevention and safety. So that's K to 12. They have to touch on all those, but I'm guessing like even just like a one-off video on each of those subjects might be sufficient. I don't really know yet. And then for grades 1 to 6, here's what they have to study. Arithmetic, reading, spelling, writing, the English language, which those are kind of lumped together, right? Reading, spelling, writing. Geography, United States history, science, health education, music, visual arts, and physical education, and if need be, also bilingual education or English as a second language, but not for us. But I think we're gonna try to stick some Japanese in there and maybe some Spanish, we'll see. And then older grades, they have other stipulations. But you see where they just tell you the subjects you have to cover, but they don't tell you within that subject what they need to learn. So it's very flexible, which is good and bad in my opinion, because it kind of leaves us who are only temporarily homeschooling going, oh my God, what if they don't study the right stuff and they go back to school and they are totally behind or clueless as to what the other kids have learned, and they're building on this knowledge that my kid doesn't have because they didn't study that last year. So that's kind of the concern, and I think I might try to reach out to a local teacher to see like what books they use and what subjects they will be learning, and maybe that'll help me, maybe. Most homeschool teachers say like, don't worry about it, because like the kids who go to school in 3rd grade and learn XYZ topics, they're not gonna remember all of it anyway, or even most of it. So it's not like my kid will be behind, but most likely they're gonna all kind of learn the same stuff. But basically, your IHIP, Individualized Home Instruction Plan, has to tell them that you're gonna study those subjects that they listed out as mandatory, and then your syllabus. And that can be very basic. For example, the homeschool curriculum you've chosen and what grade, and then who the instructor is. And so for some of these, like if you're signing them up for a piano class, that one will be different. They'll have a different instructor. But basically, I'm gonna be the instructor for all of these. And like for like physical education, let's say, you know, I'm like, okay, like YouTube Cosmic Kids Yoga, and then we're gonna play soccer and bicycles and frisbee and jump rope outside, and I don't know, it's like, it's so weird. I don't really know what to write. I don't want them to reject the plan, but I don't want it to be like too restrictive that we don't have flexibility to change and everything as the year goes on. But anyway, I have chosen Time for Learning. It's $20 a month curriculum that covers most of the main subjects. And then I've added like supplemental stuff that we can do for the other subjects, or to just like add on. Another great one that's free is Khan Academy. So I plan to use a lot of their resources, not for the curriculum itself, but just to like add on that. Some other ones are Brain Pop, ck12.org. They have free resources for homeschoolers. Education.com, coreknowledge.org. So those are some of the resources I've listed on the IHIP, as well as other ones like, you know, field trips, student-led discussions, library, farm, hiking, like all these kind of things. We will use them all together to instruct and educate and have fun. Hopefully this will be like really stress-free. I mean, they say for the lower elementary school, you really need to do only like 2 to 3 hours of actual instruction, textbook kind of hands-on learning like that. Otherwise, the rest of the stuff is really just through play or through your daily life. It sounds fun, but also overwhelming, right? I think I have 2 weeks to get this IHIP filled out and sent to them, and then they have 10 days to respond if it's rejected and I have to fix it or whatever. But our district starts their school on September 8th, so that's my goal, to kind of like start on the same day, right after Labor Day weekend, I guess. So we have a little bit of time to figure this out. If you have any advice for me, I would love to hear it. You can hit me up on social media. It's US Japan Fam, or on YouTube on the community tab, or you can email me, whatever. I would love to hear your advice. Otherwise, stay tuned. I'll be updating how our year is going for homeschooling, but also all the other stuff we do, the product reviews and the travel and all this fun stuff. Anyway, thanks for watching. Be sure you are subscribed, and take care, guys. Bye.